welcome to everyone. It's really great to see you all here at this first seminar of the reformed Australian Bridge Teachers Association. I think this is a very important milestone in our history. We're going to start with Alison saying a few words to begin with. Are you on board, Alison? If Alison's not here, then I'll simply say a couple of words about our mission statement, really, the mission statement of the ABTA. And then I can hand over to Alison if she's here then, and otherwise handing over to Nick. The mission statement of the Australian Bridge Teachers Association: we aim to promote the teaching and learning of bridge across Australia. Our goal is to inspire and support teachers and their mentors, and the role of mentors became quite evident with the earlier meeting that we had that Nick arranged a little while ago. Now, some people are very focused on mentors, so we are aiming to provide them with information and support and community as well. We provide the support through our bulletin and our seminars, and we might have seminars like this through Zoom. We might have seminars on the sidelines of national bridge events as well. We do that with our seminars and also the networking opportunities this creates. We see ourselves very much as a community, and we are there to support each other and contribute to each other. That's the way we work. We don't certify or don't aim to certify teachers. We don't have, it's not our role. But having said that, we do maintain a list of the current teachers with a summary of their teaching profile. And we've got a survey which we're going to be asking you to fill in, which gives you, it's going to give all of us a great deal of information about the background of our member teachers. That information which we're going to be holding is in order to give us a clear picture of our membership so we can see what is actually going on with our membership, and it also will enable us to serve our individual teachers better. And so that's pretty much our goal as we see it.
I just quickly to jump in.
I'll say a few words as secretary.
Yeah,
the ABTA has been dormant for 10 years. So we have a 10-year-old database that needs work and a bit of pruning. Some of those teachers are no longer teaching. And in the meantime, in the last decade, hundreds have started teaching, and we don't really know about them. We've been using events like this to contact them. And as Paul said, we'll soon send out a survey on teaching methods. Those who respond will get free membership to the ABTA to the end of next year. And at the end of next year, we will have a proper AGM and get everything running smoothly. We have $20,000 in the bank, which we've accumulated since 1985, which we can use for face-to-face seminars, the newsletter, and maintaining a web page with stuff to download, lessons for people to use, and to subsidise things like teaching tours and buying equipment. We've got plenty of ideas of what to do with all the money we have. The state associations also have their own programs, and that's fine, and we will liaise with them.
Nick, just before we get started, Alison's actually here, so if we can hand it over to Alison Strollo. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. From the perspective of the ABF Board and Council, we are very excited that after your 10 years layoff that the Australian Bridge Teaching Association has reformed. And I thank every one of you for all that you do to promote the best teaching practices in Australian Bridge. Our objective is to sponsor and promote training schemes for bridge teachers. So the ABF looks forward to contacting us re some sponsorship ideas and promotions that you would like us to assist you with. So please feel free to email our Executive Director, David Ryder. I've already had some positive feedback from a couple of people about the way in which you've communicated and started to help teachers in their clubs. And this is so important that you're getting together with teachers from all states and territories and working as a group. The ABF website has some teaching material, and it's also available to you if you want to, at any stage, add any material. Please feel free to contact us. So again, congratulations and thank you to all of you for your time and effort in promoting and teaching Bridge in Australia.
Thank you very much, Alison. It's really great to hear from you. On a personal note, I must say that I have very strong memories of the ABTA when we were at the Lakeside Hotel during the summer festival, and we had these teacher meetings always. And I used to love them. I used to go to all of them. And I learned such a lot, and I really, really did. And from lots and lots of people that presented during those meetings. And I could name all the things that I learned from those groups of people. And, you know, teaching at Cards on the Table from John Roberts and many other things along the way. Jim Barron, everyone. Lots of great memories of it. And we operated very much as a community. And we really see the reformed ABTA working in the same sort of way. We can all work together for our general advancement. That's the idea. I think I'm not sure if there's any other questions, or maybe this is a time to ask Alison any questions at all while she's just, her words are fresh in your mind. But we really do appreciate the support of the ABF. It's an essential component. That's quite clear.
Excellent. Well, I'll leave you now. As you can see, you probably can't see, but I'm at ABF HQ because we've had a spring clean here today and we've had meetings all weekend, so I'm ready to head home now. Enjoy your meeting and look forward to hearing from you and probably seeing some of you at the Rex at the Summer Festival of Bridge.
Thanks for dropping in, Alison.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
I think now we hand over to our first presenter, who is Joan Butts. And Joan's broad subject, I think, is Bridge is a trick-taking game. Can't wait to hear.
Thank you. I'm not sure. Can you see me? Can people see me?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, I'll just chat away. So I too would like to say how absolutely vital it is that Paul and Nick and anyone else involved has reactivated the Australian Bridge Teachers Association. You probably know, and I'm not going to go on about it because I've just got 10 minutes to talk. I was asked to change 12 years ago, and my goal was to try to get a whole lot of new teachers coming in. So that finished and then nothing happened, and luckily Paul and Nick and whoever else, Bianca, have started it again because it's absolutely essential that teachers are helped. And I also think that it's a very good idea to have not only state associations but an Australian Bridge Teaching Association, because many different ideas come forward. So I'll just talk on this topic for 10 minutes, and then if you want to ask a question, fine. Look, bridge is a trick-taking game. We as teachers have a tendency to overload teaching the bidding. Everybody does. And I'm here to say, just say to yourself, after you've done the bidding, the students have to make the tricks. And it might be fine among experts who would all say, yes, bidding is the most important part of it, but that's because they can all play the hands really well. But for average players, I noticed this particularly during the pandemic when we did an awful lot online. For average sort of players, their trick-taking ability, boy, does it need help. And rather than focusing so much on the bidding when you're giving lessons, just remember that the students, if they don't bid game when they're new, it doesn't matter because, their confidence comes from actually making a contract. doesn't matter if they're in the right contract or not, as far as whether they're in game or slam. Teaching them how to take tricks is absolutely vital. And that brings me to say, whenever you're doing a lesson, the plan is so vital. It doesn't matter how you present the plan for Declare a Play. I just say A, B, C, but you could say any number of things. And do we realise how hard it is for students when they see the dummy to say, where are my winners? And it's even harder when they have to look at, where are my losers? Because this is such a big topic on different hands. And so just going really slowly to tell them about their winners and their losers and showing them is actually so vital. And a few years ago, I realised that with the different card combinations, when you talk about, yes, we're looking at winners and losers, yes, what techniques will we use to try and make the contract, etc., unless you show students that they have certain combinations of cards needed for certain techniques, they don't know. They don't understand that for promotion, you need to have Queen Jack 10, I'm missing the top ones. They don't understand that for length, you need more cards than the other side. The finesse is a nightmare, and we should spend a lot of time on that. And with using the trump suit, unless you actually show them so slowly that this is the combination you need to use this technique, they get very mixed up about which techniques they're supposed to use. So the plan, and that part of the plan is vital, but perhaps the most vital part of the plan is the last one, where they've sort of decided what they think they'll do, and now they start to move into playing to the first trick. And then at that point, up come, do I draw trumps? Do I not draw trumps? Do I have entries to get to where I've got to go? Well, what I'm asking teachers is to focus on that perhaps a lot more than we do, because it helps students so very much. And slowly but surely, I think, I'm not sure what Paul's views are on this or other teachers, but when they've finished their beginners lessons and they must move into help with play, I think a structured help with play is really vital as well. And I also think that if you could have a help with play where you simply focus on playing techniques, not saying to the students, oh, I gave a 20-minute talk on Stamen, because you can't really give a 20-minute talk on Stamen properly. You need more time. So I think that at the end of beginners classes, when they come into help with play, it's help with play. You go, okay, today we'll practice this hand with winners, losers, promotion, length. Each week, just do one particular part of play. And I also think you should hand them something out at the end of their practice. Give them the hand, print it out, give them some notes, and then go on to the other sort of help with play where they play random hands. They are the main points that I wanted to make, everyone. So if you want to ask any questions, remember, bridge is a trick-taking game after all. I don't want to knock the bidding, because of course it's vital, but people so much need help with trumping in the dummy or not drawing trumps. It's such a big area for them. So anyway, over to you. What do you think?
Okay, I'll go. I'd like to know when you teach the finesse, at what stage in your course.
Well, sadly, Nick, because it happens to be in my book at lesson 4, it happens to be at lesson 4, but I don't expect people to get it, really. I think the finesse is so hard.
I think it's hard, but I think the great thing about doing it is that they get an instant hit. That actual trick is one extra trick, whereas other things like drawing trumps and playing a long suit, they don't get that feedback that they do get when they take a finesse and it works, that warm inner
Okay.
glow.
Okay. Do you find it takes a long time before they understand the concept or what cards they need to take a finesse?
It is awkward because it comes near the end of the course for us, so it's about the last thing they learn, but it's in fact, I think, just the most important card play skill.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Paul, what do you feel about that?
I mean, card play is it's a challenge. It really is. I had a student last week actually, and he is 20 or 21, very young. He's just qualifying the process of qualifying as a doctor, so he's a clever guy. And he was playing a hand, and I was defending it against him. And he had Ace Queen, fourth of trumps, opposite King Jack, fifth of trumps, and he had a side suit with King Queen Jack 10. And he got in and he didn't draw the trumps, Ace Queen fourth opposite King Jack fifth, easily could have done. And he was setting up the side seat because I've been teaching him the importance of leading from a run. And this is a clever young guy. And so I'm backing your view, Joan, that it's difficult. It's just difficult. And we do have to spend time on it. We can't spend all of our time. And I agree with you on that, but we do have to spend time.
Oh, thank you. And increasingly, it's come as almost a shock to me to see how much time we need to spend. And I'm not trying to downplay bidding at all, but they want to make their contract, the poor old things, whether it's 1 no trump and it should be 6 no trumps, who cares really if they make their contract and they learn to use the technique. They don't know what cards they need for what technique. That's the problem.
I'll tell you one point, and I'm going to quote Nick from a long time ago. He told me this, and it's actually true.
Yeah.
That is that it's true that they're very, very bad at their card play, but Nick said to me that it's also true that they're very bad at defending.
Oh, well, that's another whole topic. We need another seminar.
And so what Joan says, sorry to interrupt. I was just going to say to what Joan says, they do like to make their contract, and I think we've got to sort of take care of them emotionally. So I think it's a good idea for teachers to restructure their hands so that if they don't get it right, they still make their contract, and if they get the point, they might make an over trick. I think that's just taking care of them emotionally. And mostly, I've seen material where if you make the mistake, you fail to make, and I think smart people get despondent.
Yes, thank you. I agree 100%. Yeah. We want them, as Paul's always said to me from the first time I ever linked up, Paul, many, many years ago. He's always said, we want them to not only start, we want them to keep playing. So really, we want them to be happy. We want them to feel a little bit confident with this skill they can't really manage, but we want them to be loving what they're doing and then wanting to keep practicing. That's the whole thing. And another point is, and again, you've discussed this with me, Paul, many years ago, and that is that, when people sign up for 6 beginners lessons, our job is to say, now we need you to keep playing for the rest of your life. So that in itself is a real selling thing. They've paid for 6. Anyone got any views about that? How to keep them playing?
It's a constant challenge. It really is.
Yeah, because if you say, I'm buying 6 lessons, now you say, now buy your lifetime.
I think you just go slowly. So adult learners, they need a lot of revision. And like when I started teaching, I reckon now I only have half as much content in the beginner course as I started with.
Oh, yes, I would agree. I'd say anytime anyone gives a lesson, halve the content. Think, what am I going to say? And say half of it.
That's true.
Yeah. So, well, thank you very much for having me. I think my time's up, hey?
Well, great to hear from you, Joan.
Yeah, lovely to see you too. Yeah, and I'm so pleased to be involved with all of this. So thanks everyone. Bye.
Thank you, Joan. I think now we are ready to head on to our next presenter, who's Laura Ginnan. Are you here, Laura?
Hi there, I am here.
Oh, brilliant.
We're a bit early, but all right, let's jump into it. Here, I thought I had a few more minutes.
Oh, okay.
That's all right. Hi, everybody. My name's Laura Ginnan, although it says Hollins, I believe, on my screen. Just ignore that one. So I've been teaching bridge for what feels like, well, it definitely is more than half my lifetime. And I've been playing bridge for far more than half my lifetime. And I had the pleasure of being able to learn bridge as a child. So I started learning when I was 7. It was very organic. It was with my grandma teaching me. Once she thought that I could vaguely follow suit, it then blossomed into her inviting a couple of friends around, and we'd have afternoon tea and play some hands. And by the age of 10, the highlight of my life was going to the bridge club once a month, being taken out of school for the afternoon and getting to play a duplicate at a bridge club. And I have a score sheet from 1999 when I was 10 years old and came second in a duplicate, and I thought that was as good as it was going to ever get. Luckily for me, it's gotten a bit better, but that was a really pleasurable experience of how I was able to learn bridge. And I don't think if I was an adult, I would be able to learn bridge. I think that it's a big ask from the adult population. I think there's a lot that goes into tackling something like bridge, especially when there are so many different activities in the world these days that are actually very sort of low energy and low sort of basis to actually learn the activity, and then they can level up on the actual skill that's involved in the strategy very quickly after that. So they're very low to get into the game and get playing, and then the strategy can increase and increase. So we've got a fair few I guess things that we are battling as bridge in terms of the competition of people's time demands. And I think that it is very hard as adults to get into something where, let's face it, bridge is a game of mistakes, and the amount of times that people get told that they're doing something wrong is extraordinary. Just one of my adult learning experiences, I didn't think I was making a very big leap, but went down to the local bowls club to play euchre one night. And my darling husband, Peter, taught me euchre on the way to the euchre club, and I thought I was going to be okay there. And it turns out he had taught me the wrong version, because it seems like there's multiple different numbers of cards you can play with. And the first couple of hands that we had, I had the person who was clearly the person who ran the club telling me what to bid, and then we got into the card play and they were telling me what cards to play. And I mean, personally, I thought I had at least that component under control, but I then knew what it was like when people do end up at the bridge club and they do have people telling them what cards to play rather than actually figuring it out and experiencing it for themselves. And yeah, we didn't tell them that we played, well, we said we played a bit of cards, but we didn't say we played bridge when we got into that. But I think that we do just need to be really conscious about those things when we are tackling, especially beginners, and getting them into it, and appreciating what they're there for and what keeps them coming back. The ABF's done, I don't think anything super recently, but the research that they've done time and time again says that, you know what, people learn bridge because they know somebody who plays bridge most of the time. And so thus they've got somebody who said, hey, you should go learn this. It's really, really fun. And we also know that what keeps them coming back is the fun, the social engagement, and the sense of accomplishment sort of stuff. So we've got to figure out how we can achieve those goals. And the hardest part is doing it right from the start, right from when they are in their beginners, and keeping that traveling through so that we do retain them. Unfortunately, there tends to be quite a bit of dropout in those early stages. And I mean, my topic is talking a lot about technology in bridge and teaching. But at the same point, I think there's a fair bit more to it, and I'm not going to hold myself captive to that simply being the topic. As far as integrating technology into my teaching, I've sort of done all sorts of different spectrums of it. And one thing when I am running a lesson that I try to do is have a lesson that's structured so that if all the technology fails, that the lesson can run. And I do think different things in Bridge and teaching them lend themselves to different integrations of technology and different amounts of technology, and whatever the teacher is comfortable with as well has a big part to play in that. Just talking about, I guess, one sort of project that has been, I guess, almost under development for probably about 8 years now. I've worked closely with the Gippsland clubs while I was living in Melbourne. I'm now down in Gippsland, but while I was living in Melbourne, and what sort of started out as the first, I guess, introduction was a one-day come and try session that basically I'd run. And the idea of this whole one day come and try, and it was face to face with zero technology, it still is zero technology other than a whiteboard, is basically coming along and getting them having cards in their hands as much as possible for that day, and having them have fun and learn basically the mechanics of how things work, basically getting the mechanics on board so that they're confident in sort of how the play goes, how they're scoring their cards, all these little things that we do take for granted. We get into the mechanics of the game of bidding as well, and we do have them bidding by the end of it. But it's pretty loose in terms of the rules. There's not as such rules in terms of, I mean, they've got a little booklet which they can work through, which introduces one rule at a time, such as if you want to open the bidding, you should have 12 points. And if you want to be a responder, you should have 6 points. So they can follow along with that and build on rules. But I find more and more that basically they don't look at that booklet for the afternoon. There might be one table of 4 that's come along with 4 of them who are avid students and want to work through the booklet and don't play enough hands. But for the most part, that they do just play and have fun. And it's a very good introduction, and the retention rate of people then taking up a structured lesson course is pretty huge. In terms of where I've sort of ended up getting to with lessons that I run with the Gippsland clubs, we do a bit of a hybrid approach, which is basically that the players themselves have sort of like self-study content in a way. They've got videos, they've got quizzes, all sorts of things to give them support there. But then what they do to play the cards is they go into the local club and they actually play the boards and get that social interaction with the clubs. And I think that the key benefits to this are there's almost that sort of degree of separation in the sense that I'm the bridge teacher as such, but their real connection is with their local club, and they can email me questions and not have to ask them and feel a bit sheepish in class. And they can really build that rapport with their bridge club connections and enjoy that. And at the same time, if there's something that happens in the club that the people who are coordinating in the club think, oh, that could use a little bit more emphasis, or this group's not quite getting that aspect, that then I can go back and revisit that and get in touch with them personally. And so I think the other thing that's been really enjoyable from the Bridge Club side of things with this format is that the pressure's kind of taken off them in terms of actually teaching, and it's more just facilitating those sessions and having a bit of fun with it, which I think, especially for the smaller bridge clubs around the place, there's plenty of people willing to pop up their hands and help, but they might not feel that they have the expertise, or they might feel uncomfortable in that teaching environment. And so that has worked really well as a format for beginners lessons. But we've also done that format in a slightly different way. It was more with a live lesson, where we had 4 bridge clubs from different parts of the state that came in, and we did a 4-course or 4-component course where we had 4 bridge clubs learning. I think we did Stamen and transfers, keycard, and 2 club openings or something like that. And that was, I think, also good because clubs felt that they had a connection with other parts of the state as well. But that being said, technology, it's only going to be relevant if it's actually adding something to the experience for people. You don't need to include technology for the sake of having technology. So if it's not adding something to the experience of either the players, most importantly, or the teachers, then it's not worth integrating. In terms of one thing that you are going to find, I think more and more, I'm sure clubs are finding it now, is that their players are looking beyond just the class to go and play some bridge and learn about bridge. And if they are off on their own and doing their own exploration, I think this can be pretty dangerous, because the last thing you want is for them to stumble across some material that is contradictory to what you're teaching. You don't need to be teaching standard and have them come across some ACOL materials and have an awful time there. And you also don't want them jumping into BBO and playing against people who are then telling them that they're doing everything wrong, and also giving them an unpleasant time there. So I think that one of the biggest things you can do is find some things that you think are compatible with what you are doing at the club, and be able to integrate those, especially at the beginner's stage, to be able to also give people that avenue to actually support their learning. Because one thing I think that we would all say is that playing bridge once a week isn't enough. When you're going into a classroom and you're playing 2 hours of bridge, it's not enough to reinforce it, and people really do need something throughout the rest of the week. And having an option for them to be able to do something, even promoting, if you can get social groups within your lessons to meet up and do things, or have somebody from the club who's happy to facilitate something like that at a different time, I think is really important, to give people different avenues to support reinforcing their content. And also, just if they have caught the bridge bug, being able to give them something to do. I can't emphasize enough, as Joan said, that bridge is a trick-taking game, and the more that we can get them playing cards, the more that we can get cards in their hands and be having them have that experience, the better it is going to be. And technology does a lot for that, but and I mean, not physically getting cards in their hands, but getting them playing as much as we can. And I think finding the right balance for different clubs is what's really important. Yeah, that's my experience. I'm sure there's a few questions or comments around the place.
How many students would you have in a typical session, Laura?
I mean, I've done everything, from sort of 100 plus students through to, I mean, my favorite amount to teach is 2 tables, pretty much. I think that's my preference, but yeah, seminars for hundreds of players. I think we probably had about 200 doing the 4 online or hybrid sort of 4 workshop thing. But yeah, I do kind of tweak my programs a lot based on what the numbers are, because they are very different.
Laura, Jan Hackett, some of my beginners have asked what they should be looking at online. You were saying some of the places are not very good for them to go to. Do you have any favorite ones that you tell your students to look at?
Yeah, I mean, after I do my 1-day crash course, what I get them to do is go to BBO's Just Declare function. And the user interface of that thing is pretty awful. I'm not going to give it points there, but basically they're just given a contract and they play the cards. Now, on that, I will always do a demonstration for that in the beginner's course, or like that 1-day course. So they've seen what it looks like. It's not that they're jumping into it and it's unfamiliar. And I'll also send them that link. And I mean, even just sort of following up on that as you're going through your weeks with people, just getting in touch by email, sending them a little quiz, sending them a, hey, you should start doing the Just Declare things, I think is a really good one to do. If towards the end of the lessons, when people really want to start playing, then I definitely tell them just do things with robots, but again, warning them that robots are a bit awful sometimes, and that the robots will be doing things that they don't know. But yeah, I try to, as much as possible, just have them playing cards, having them do the Just Declare. They also don't need to have a BBO login to do Just Declare.
Okay, thank you.
I couldn't agree with you more, Laura, about the problems you get when your students take off and they wander out into the Wild West and they're getting all sorts of things said to them. They're sitting there on BBO and they're getting rudeness, they're getting told everything's wrong, and it does cause trouble. And one really does have to direct where your students go. Go here, don't go there.
Yeah, and I think if you tackle that early and appreciate it's going to happen and find the avenues that you know about and you're comfortable with, you can sort of, and also give them the warning that there is a big wide world of bridge out there and they're going to come across things that don't work for them, and just put them down. Don't keep tackling them.
How big is the Gippsland Club?
So I mostly work with Sale. I'm not too sure how big their membership is. I can look it up. But also a bit with Bairnsdale, and just started doing some stuff with Traralgon a bit more this year, and Paynesville. So, yeah.
Laura, I've just got a quick question for you. Obviously, and I've told you many times, you're one of my favourite youth teachers. In relation to technology, do you use more tech when you're teaching younger students, and how to differentiate your teaching?
Are you talking youth specifically, or are you talking young as in, like, if I get a group of 40 and 50-year-olds? What's young?
I'm probably thinking, university and younger. I've sort of had a lot of ideas and talked to a lot of people about attracting younger players, and obviously now we're hitting the questions of, well, how do you differentiate your teaching with younger players?
Yep. So a little side project I've got going on is getting bridge into schools, but with the theory being that it's going to be classroom teacher led. And so if we think about Jeff saying he's got about 50% of what he started off teaching in his beginner courses that he teaches now, in terms of the pace to take that one along and the process, think of it more as probably about 5% that we're going for there. But the younger that they are, in a way, at the face-to-face bits, the less technology, the better, in my opinion. The younger they are, the more organically that they need to learn everything. And I think one of the key differences is, and I don't know, people might have some different views about this, but I'd say whenever I rock up at the table and I'm playing against some youth players, what I know is their bidding is going to be absolutely atrocious, but they're going to rip my arms and legs off in the card play. And I really need to be aware of that, because as youth players, one thing that happens is your atrocious bidding and love of your hand ends you up in these horrible contracts. And you pretty quickly learn how to take your tricks just by the fact that you get to these awful spots. And that's not something that is at all, in my opinion, transferable to adult learners, because the second that they get themselves into an awful contract, they feel like the world's ended and it's all their fault and they're all embarrassed. Whereas, for instance, divulging secrets here, I don't know if there's many youthies around, but our t-shirt for Youth Week this year is going to involve the postcodes around Australia that are also bridge scores, because everybody's been in those doubled contracts and gone for a big number. So yeah, the younger kids are, the more organically it does need to happen. When you start to get into uni students, then you will have some people who are completely fine at learning something theoretically. We've had people come to us that have literally learned bridge out of a book and have never played the game at all, but theoretically know everything. So that's time that you really need to be able to adapt to, I guess, different learning styles and preferences. And I think that's important with the adult population as well. One thing I try to do is have a wide variety of resources, and some people would completely turn their nose up to this, but literally I do flashcards so that you can take it home and have your friend or your partner quiz you. Literally things of match think of the picture of a ball and you have to draw the line to be the letters that spell BALL, things like that, to give people different avenues of being able to reinforce their content. And whether that's technology or not, who knows?
Thank you.
Laura, I've got a general question about classes online.
Hello, Laura.
Who got in first?
Sorry. Yeah, I did have a question, Laura, and yeah, it's Richard Harmon, and nice to see you again. We, as you know, we're an aging demographic, us 70 somethings and all that, and sometimes we have a tendency to not have many nighttime sessions at bridge clubs, which is not conducive to getting people of working age to play. So, what do you think we can do about that?
You're Albury, aren't you?
Yes, that's exactly right. Thank you.
I mean, it depends what your options are. Obviously, different bridge clubs have different constraints, whether they own their own venues or not, what people's different timeframes are. But I mean, I think I guess even with kids, even with anyone, the one thing that anyone coming to me saying I want to learn bridges, find someone else to do it with, find a friend. Because once you've got a couple of you, you can sort of push each other along. It's very easy, I think, to think this is all too hard and fall off the perch if you are just a solo sort of player. Whereas if you've got a friend and you can sort of motivate each other, that's really important. And I think depending on sort of what your club's options are, first up, if you're not willing to run anything at night, obviously there's not really an option. One thing that if I had unlimited time that I would really be trying to get into is trying to get into places to have sort of a basically one of those team building sort of corporate development type afternoons where just say, hey, can I come into, you've got what, the tax department or something in Albury?
Yes.
Yeah, do you guys want to pay your people to have, like, don't make them unpaid time or anything, but they have all sorts of professional development and team building things that they have to do. And hey, with a local bridge club, we'd be willing to come in and run a couple of hours of playing bridge for anyone who's interested. But I guess that's one other thing that I'm very passionate about. I don't want to get involved in any sort of beginners things where there isn't a process that comes after that. And I think having a player pipeline in mind before you jump into these things is really important in how you are going to support those players. One of the things that Sale now does, which I think is the best thing ever, is after we finish the beginners course, they go through and they do the same boards for the next 8 weeks. And just have it as a social, come, we play the same boards again. They've got all the same write-ups and reinforcing it that way. If you've got the people, I'd love to see what a come to the pub and have dinner at the pub and have a drop-in session would look like. If you wanted to go for those sort of working demographic, try find a pub that's got a trivia night and see if you can come in the hour before the trivia night or something and just have it as demonstration / come have a try. I think there are different ways, but it does really need the people to be able to do it and have the pipeline.
Thanks very much, Laura. It's much appreciated, your ideas. Thank you.
Nick, were you going to say something before?
We have a question from Di Hasler, is that right?
I think something about flashcards. I saw a comment come through about flashcards.
Sorry, that was me. Yeah, I just wondered whether you had a copy of it that you could share, the flashcards that you use.
Yeah, I could. Like with mine, one thing I try to do on that first day, that come try day, a big part of it is terminology, and the one sheet that they have at their table, which at basically the only sheet that they have at the table before they sort of get this booklet is a glossary sheet, so they know what terms that we're talking about. But one thing I do on there is I structure them to how I like to teach, and the flashcards have the components of they've got to know if they're balanced or unbalanced. They've got to count the high card points, and then they've got to have opening bids or responses. And it is sort of with the style that I like to teach. I mean, a popular one is, what do you teach, short club or better minor? in all honesty, it doesn't matter. In my opinion, it doesn't matter. Do what you want to do. I guess that's one thing I haven't changed. I do teach better minor, but if someone said teach short club, I'd go teach short club. It doesn't matter to me. But yeah, there just might be variations of sort of the approach that different people take that they might not be compatible. Again, jumping into the materials that are different sort of things that might conflict. But yeah, shoot me an email and I can send them through potentially.
I agree with when you're teaching these people, you've got to make it clear who's the opener and who's the responder. And people tend to get confused about this quite early on. And I've had conversations with quite experienced players relatively, and they're asking me about a particular hand. They said, he opened this, then he opened that, and then he opened that. And they're using the term open in terms of each player's first bid, rather than a description of the table as a whole. And that is that player that I was talking to is quite confused about the bidding, that's for sure. And I think us teachers have to spend a bit of time emphasizing who they are in the big table position.
Yep, that is one thing that I have learnt to drum in very, very quickly. There is only one opener in the whole bidding auction, and if you bid for your side, you are not the opener. But there is one opener, is one that needs beating into people pretty early.
Yeah,
I think again
sometimes. Sorry.
Go, Nick.
People sometimes ask me, should I open the ace or the king? Honestly, I get that a lot.
And I think that's potentially a symptom that we do move people through quite quickly. Even, for instance, like I know people like to have sort of series where they do like, we're going to do 6 weeks of intermediates and we're going to do stamen transfers, this, that. And going through and doing new content, I think time, like in quick succession, we're not really giving it a chance to sink in. With my private groups, I do we're not moving on to another convention until we can play this one in our sleep. And I mean, maybe that's a personal thing of also the way that I like to play bridge. If I can't play my bridge system in my sleep, then I shouldn't be playing it, because it's taking away from my mind power to do all the other cool parts of bridge that if we just improved those, we'd get a much better return on investment than learning a convention that's going to come up 1 in 100 hands. I try as hard as I can to, for instance, avoid teaching Michael's Q bids, because just the frequency of how often they come up, and you've got to be specifically the overcaller. And personally, I like to play weak and strong Michaels, and I just think, especially in the early stages, there's no point.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. All right, I've had, I think, my rant.
Do you have any other questions for Laura, folks?
I'd just like to ask a bit about online classes. I can see teaching a topic online or even supervised play, intermediates, but I can't for the life of me see how you teach beginners online. And yet during COVID, quite a few people had a go at that. I was just wondering what your experience was, particularly Paul, say.
Yeah, Paul's had a lot of experience on this. Why don't you go first, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, Nevena and I, we taught at December 2019, we hadn't done any teaching online. By March 2020, we had done a lot, and a lot of people came along, and we found it a great medium to teach. Really is a great medium to teach. And the main thing that I would say about the teaching online is using a product like SharkBridge, where you can put everyone in the seat. And so everyone is sitting there in the driver's seat, figuring out exactly what they're going to do. So it's like a one-on-one lesson in effect. And that's how it kind of worked for us. And we had 2,000 people graduate from the beginner course. And, you know, these people have stayed as well. I mean, we still have a duplicate session every day, online duplicate session every day that came from those people. In fact, today there's a session running. I don't know how many people on there right now. But their numbers and they're staying, and that's through the online medium, and it's really been a great surprise to me, and it's very inspiring as well, the fact that this avenue is available.
I think the avenues are really important. Personally, I'm a player who hates playing bridge online. I've had to do a fair bit of it. I've run online playing, but I'm a player who does not like playing online. So it's pretty funny that I do the technology type sides of things. And I think that there's definitely people who do strongly prefer being able to play online. Even just in terms of their availabilities, just in terms of not wanting the chit chat at the table and a whole bunch of other variables. And there's very flourishing online communities of bridge players. And that is definitely the pathway for those people and what is best for them. I don't know if it's the majority though. And I think it's about trying to find the right balance for those who it isn't. And I think that doing beginners online is solely online is not something that I'm not in my wheelhouse anyway. Paul's wheelhouse, not my wheelhouse. I'm more of the kind of deliver the teaching content of it online, but get people playing and enjoying the game in a live face-to-face setting as much as possible.
I tend to be the same as well. I mean, we were very focused during COVID, but we're not running any online classes at the moment, beginner classes at the moment. We have some plans, but during COVID brought in lots of people who were keen to learn, and the market to learn has diminished during normal times. And like you, Laura, I enjoy rather more being involved with people face to face and seeing the joy and all the rest of it.
Yeah, and I think just in terms of the, I guess, hybrid solution that we've come up with in Gippsland, which is definitely very scalable. I've got to refine and get everything polished up very nicely, but intend to sort of launch that a bit further afield. The good thing about those things is that they can be rolled out pretty quickly, in the sense that I think that I guess sort of my experience is that obviously the bigger bridge clubs, a lot of metro clubs, a lot of clubs with a really strong bridge teacher in them, this is not applicable to at all. They have their own processes and they work absolutely wonderfully. But for smaller clubs where there's sort of the goodwill of people, and just being aware that it's also not necessarily the best bridge player at the club who's going to be the best teacher at the club. It's about having them have fun and having it be a nice, safe place. But one of the sad things is if you've got people who are eager to learn, just with the way that society has gone, if we turn around to those people and say, okay, we've got a course starting in 2 months, why don't you come back then? They've filled that slot. That's moved on to something else. You're not going to have many people who stick around for that. And just being able to have it that if you did have somebody from the club who's willing to facilitate, that they could start a small group, even if it was just 4 people or 3 people plus themselves, at any stage, I think is probably the way of the future in terms of being able to get that balance right. Or for slightly bigger clubs, being able to have sort of a few times a year or a couple of times a year is going to be really important.
Oh, God.
I think Sue had a question. Did you, Sue?
Oh, yes, please. Laura, I was just curious because about your crash course bridge, how many hours does that go for?
I keep shortening it. Originally, it was like a 9 till 5, and now it depends on how long they're going to want for lunch and what's going to happen. If people are bringing their own lunch, then I only want about half an hour for lunch, but we now do about 10 till 3:30.
I'm just surprised it's worked for you, because I've had a lot of people here in Tasmania that had done a thing called Bridge in a Day, and they were so overwhelmed by it and so turned off bridge by it that it took years for them to come back to have another go at doing a bridge course. Because I find in a 2-hour class, they need a break after an hour to get a cup of tea, walk around, chat, whatever. And I was just shocked that you've been able to do anything more than 2 hours and it's been successful, because I just didn't think that would have worked.
before lunch, so to give you an idea of what we do before lunch, basically we've played tricks, we've played trumps, we've introduced a partner, and then we've all had a couple of turns at playing the dummy. And so the first couple of hours is literally them just playing cards and having fun. And then we have lunch, and then we introduce the mechanics of the bridge. And so usually this is by about 1:30. We introduce the mechanics of bidding and get them to understand like how an auction finishes. Throw them into bidding some hands, and they do that for about an hour and a half, and then the day is done. But
I'm still surprised it works, because I just find that 2 hours max and their head's full.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I very much drip feed information in very slowly. And it's like, I try not to talk for more than about 5 minutes before they play a hand. And so I think that possibly helps a bit.
Maybe your stuff's the only way that would ever work, because I would have talked to anyone else from having a go at doing it.
Yeah, I give them lots of break. It runs very organically. There's lots of talking. I mean, it's a lot of talking. One thing that I'm conscious of, just in terms of teaching, I'm very fortunate that my son's school has a principal who is very forward thinking. He's won an award for a program that he created called Running with Numbers, which basically combines maths and PE. So great for the mathsy kids who don't want to go throw a ball around, and vice versa. Like, he's seen it in action with me teaching bridge, and has been a big part of formulating this program that I want to get rolled out in schools. But one of the comments that he sort of had made, sort of just with the initial idea of transitioning it through to classroom teachers running it, is, and I mean, the first group that he threw at me, because he didn't really have any idea of what I was like, was 4 tables of kids who, they were between years 2 and 4, but they were all who he deemed to be the pretty cluey kids. There were a few that were on the spectrum, but one comment that he had was that they're all getting to that sort of like next level of higher learning with how it's run, and it's very organic. But because of that, there's I guess a lot going on in terms of the noise in the classroom and the organic nature of it, which, if you were having a classroom teacher rollout in a full classroom of kids, might not necessarily work, because they do need the adaptation to be able to have kids do it solo, and they need to have they can't have the level of noise and fun and happiness that we had with our 16 kids that we had doing it. But I think that, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the noisier it is in your one-day course, the better, because that's usually a sign that they're having more fun. And I mean, even I don't do it as much anymore, but one of the things, if the room's a little bit like icy at the start, that I get them to do is I say to them, okay, after lunch, what we're going to do is we're all going to find out amongst the different tables who has the most strange thing in common. And you get ones that come back to you and are like, we are all male and we all drove cars here. Great, congratulations. But I had one table that worked out they were all in Amsterdam in the same year about 20 years ago. And so, like, having that conversation and having it have a bit of fun, I think is really important. It's not like they're just getting content thrown at them, and it's about making it fun.
Anyway, Laura, you wear so many hats in the world of bridge. I admire you very much.
Far too many.
Thank you.
No worries. Good to see you.
You too.
Someone had a question. Alison, question?
Yeah, has anybody else tried the supervised play that the ABF's running on Sunday afternoons?
Bridge New South Wales.
Bridge New South Wales, sorry, yes. Yeah, sorry. Has anybody else tried those? Because I went to the first one with last week. And I thought it was a fantastic idea.
There as a helper too, Alison, and I thought it worked really well.
Yeah.
Hats off to Steve English for running it.
Yeah, like I was, because it partly answers that question of how do you get people to practice? But it was also on a time that people like me who work can actually participate. So it's not only the players that can't make the younger generation that can't make the lessons, they also can't make the practice sessions. And we're one of the few clubs that still play online. And we play online at night. So we play online at night, and we get people coming to visit us because we do play online. And so we do, yeah, and that doesn't worry us at all. But I was just interested about beginners and moving them to online supervised play, because what Steve has done with the New South Wales one presents something that I think could be very useful.
This is on Real Bridge, is it, Alison?
Yes, it's Real Bridge. So it's Real Bridge, so people get to me, people still get the experience that Laura's talked about, where people come and have fun, they sit at the table, they meet somebody new, they have a discussion, they talk about the hand, they can have a helper come to the table and help them out, and the whole table can hear. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate that there's someone from Sale who does like an online game, and there's some players around Sale that also go off caravanning all the time.
Yeah.
And whenever they do run beginners, there will notoriously be someone that can't make the time or whatever, and what they'll do is they'll run a nighttime game or at a time that's convenient for all the people, where they do run it online and run the same boards and get to facilitate that. And when I had a side-by-side with a club down on the peninsula, I had someone from that club who was in the same position. I'm like, can I chuck them in with you? And they were very happy to do that. And it works out really well. And I do think if sort of this program rolls out, that then there will be that catchment that then they can come in and do it from all sorts of places in the world, if any, or in Australia. If anyone does run sort of two groups of beginners at a time, say they might do an afternoon and an evening or something like that, what I'd also suggest is staggering them. So you do them, lesson one would start week one for one stream of it, say the afternoon, but have it lesson one start the following week for the other session. It just means if there is a time where, if the afternoon people have something on that week, they could go to the nighttime session the next week or something and get the same content. And you'll also have some diehards that do go to both streams of lessons, which I would encourage as much as possible too.
That's very interesting. I mean, I agree with the more FaceTime you get with them, the better, and the more comfortable they get. And I also agree that if things are really noisy in these practice sessions or these new sessions, the more noise, the better, because it means they're having fun.
Until you've got to get them to be quiet to drip feed the next bit of information.
I tell you, we used to occasionally run classes for school kids here at Grand Slam and Double Bay. And when we did, the one thing we always had to do was remove the sugar from the tables, because they'd sit there and they'd eat all the sugar and get hyper.
Oh, that's probably one of the other key things to the one-day working, Sue, as well. We do have an ice cream break, because it's usually in February that Sale runs theirs. We do have an ice cream break, and I think
now we know the
gets an extra hour. Yeah.
Thank you very much for sharing your story, Laura. It's been most interesting. It really is interesting to hear from someone who's actually doing it in the field with lots of different people. It's just great to get your feedback.
Yep. And well done, everybody. Keep it up, and great to see the ABTA back up and coming about. So I will sort of be around for the rest of the afternoon, but probably slightly parenting. So I'll be more listening than engaging. Thanks for having me.
Cheers. I think the next in line is our treasurer, Mr. Nick Hughes.
Okay, I'm going to load a screen from my laptop, I hope, and speak over it. So let's see how I go. How am I going here? Can you see that big screen?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to talk a bit about the One No Trump opening, which is, of course, done to death, but Bridge has a few memorable phrases, and they're clear and they're simple, and they use words that everyone understands. So one no Trump equals 15 to 17, and 15 to 17 equals one no Trump. That's not quite the same thing. Anyway, there are many unclear technical terms in Bridge. I could list 20 or 30 of them, but there are a few that beginners have problems with. I'll show you something that I observed a supervised play recently. This is not uncommon at all. South deals and opens one no Trump. And if you're lucky enough to see it happening, you can say right points, wrong shape, and then you wonder why they keep getting this wrong. 15 to 17 equals one no Trump are all words that they recognise and they understand. They brought those words with them to the class, and so they use them all the time. Let's have a look at a different example. The spade passed by east and south, bids one no Trump. This is more common than you would think. And if you say that you've never seen it, then I'm not sure that I believe that. Why did this happen? Well, the person had that thought in their brain. One no Trump equals 15 to 17. And as people have noted, responder, opener is not so clear to some people. And we can say that some people are dumb, that's true, but basically this is the fault of the teacher for not making things clear. So how do we avoid all those sorts of things happening? You can be more careful with the words you use, and careful stress. And I would like to say an opening bid, try and stress that when you say it, or one no Trump shows a balanced hand with 15 to 17 points. So use the long version, but stress the things that you think they will need to know, the things they may need to distinguish. And yet, that's not so easy either. The problem is balance. Balance is not so easy a concept to get across. If you open up your textbook, it says balance hand, da-da-da-da-da, no singleton or void, no more than one doubleton. That's too long. That's a mouthful. That gets lost. Balanced is one of those words they brought with them to the course. They knew what the word meant before they started Bridge. Balanced means level or even or maybe impartial. They know the meaning of that word. Some players don't open one no Trump because they don't think of it or because they don't like it. So you see one diamond. That's quite common, isn't it? Why are they doing that? because they're used to looking at suits. They look at their hand, they look at the suits, they look at the diamonds, so they bid diamonds. No trumps is not a suit, it's a construct. And they say, doesn't look balanced to me, because they look at those diamonds, they look at those clubs, and they say, this does not fit with my mind's idea of what balanced is. And so they take a bit of convincing. No trumps equals balanced is not always helpful. If people carry that through their bridge career, they won't bid no trumps when they have a singleton. So this hand earlier in the course, North opens a spade and South bids 2 clubs. They do that because they're used to bidding at suits. They look at suits, they bid suits. They look at their clubs, their diamonds, and their hearts, and they choose which one they're going to bid. They don't see no trumps as an option. Now, this is a particular problem because this is the first sequence where they'll see a one-no trump bid in the course. These days, when we teach the one-no trump opening, it happens somewhere towards the end of the course. So this is the first no trump bid they actually see. Okay. When I talk about an opening of one no trump, I don't quite say it as I should. I say an opening bid of one no trump shows 15 to 17 points, no singleton. That's what I say. It's worth noting that voids are problematic. A lot of players don't see them. A lot of students don't see them. They can see a singleton. Singleton 1 means something to them, and they can look at their singleton 5 of clubs and note what it is. But they don't see voids at all. They can pick up a hand with 5, 4, 4, 0, 16 points, and they don't see their voiding club. They still open one no trump. Voids are a problem, but luckily they're rare, so I don't think we need to stress that. So that's what I say. 15 to 17, well, opening bid first, 15 to 17, no singleton. All right, so what do my beginners do with this guideline? Well, they'll make the normal one no trump openings, and they'll make some other ones, that some are good and some are bad. Let's see what they've been doing. For me, this is a textbook one no trump opening. I hope that most or many people here today would open one no trump. It seems clear. If you do, and I think you do you say one no trump for me, but 1 club for them? I think if the bid is right, you should make it. I also like to give people a choice. If they open 1 club, that's fine. If they open one no trump, that's finer. This is a good one no trump opening. They should do it as often as possible. This is a perfect example, isn't it? With 2 good doubletons and 5, 4 minors. Perfect one no trump opening. Let's get off the beaten track here. Well, 5, 4 shape, small doubleton spade, 4 hearts. What do you think of the one no trump opening? Look, I would. Playing with my favourite partner, I would open one no trump. I think it's the right thing to do. I don't like to say this is right or wrong, but this is what I would do, and they can do it. It rates to go better than if you start with 1 club and partner bids a spade and you bid 2 hearts. I think that's a bad start to the auction, a bad start for them. They've got an even balanced hand, and they have a choice, and my choice and their choice these days is one no trump, and I like that. Let's make it worse. What do you think of one no trump here? You think it's terrible? I think it's okay. Look, if you open one heart and partner bids one no trump, you've got 16 points, partner might have 10, you can't pass, partner doesn't have spades, so you bid two no trumps. What's wrong with that? Well, if partner's got 6 and you've got 16, you're too high, and partner will be the one playing it. It's worth noting that a lot of top experts would just automatically open one no trump with this hand, especially if the one no trump response is forcing, but that's another question. I open one no trump, but I like them to be able to do that too. If this offends you, like you can move one of those major fives into diamonds and then suddenly everything's fine, everything's perfect. This is close enough for me. No singleton. That'll do me. Six card minor. Do you open one no trump? Again, people who have been taught, oh, not with two doubletons, they won't do it. They'll carry that bad habit through their bridge career. So they will never learn to open one no trump with these cards, which is clearly the best thing to do. If they think two doubletons can't do it, they'll end up in a lot of bad contracts. So one no trump for me. It's much better than opening a diamond, hearing partner bid a major and jumping to 3 diamonds, which is what you have to do if you don't open one no trump. And notice they might do it with 6 hearts and 3 diamonds. Like, I'll allow them to do that. They'll learn sooner or later that that's not such a smart thing to do, but that's okay with me because I've said 15 to 17, no singleton, and they can do what they like. There's a part of your brain that's set aside for the one no trump opening. It comes in week 5 or 6 of the course, which is a pity because they learned 15 to 17 one no trump and how to bid over it. That's one of the last things they learn. And unfortunately, the more recent knowledge they have is what they will recall rather than the first week of the course. Anyway, one no trump openings are rare. It's a pity that the responses are at odds with the earlier principles they've learned, such as respond to an opening bid with 6 points. Well, you can't avoid that adjustment. You can get that across quite easily. The other problem is this. When responder bids a new suit, opener must bid again. And that's a good principle, but it, of course, creates a problem when partner opens one no trump. Exceptions like this are unhelpful. This is the sort of thing that they get right. They're good at doing some arithmetic and they like to do it. 15 to 17 plus 7. So they do it. 7 plus 17 equals 24. No game, no trumps is fine, pass. They're good at doing that and they're happy to do that. And you do the raise to 3 no trumps and 6 no trumps if you feel like it. That all goes well. They can do the simple arithmetic. There's one other thing they can do. Here you stress the benefit of having no singleton opposite. And they get that. They realise that South's hand is better than 7 points. They can work out there must be a fit because 6 plus 2 equals 8, 7 plus 3 equals 10, 25 for spades. They get this and that's fine. What they don't get is a heap of the other hands that they're faced with. Stuff like this, a big problem. What do they do when partner opens one no trump? What do you tell them to do? It's quite an interesting problem, isn't it? You know, they've learned things like a new suit by responder at the 2 levels shows 10 points or more, or maybe they think 6 points is enough to beat the hearts here. All sorts of issues. What do? I don't care. I don't give a damn. What will they do? They'll bid 2 hearts. And what will happen then? Well, their partner will bid something. We know their partner will bid something, and away they go. They might reach the right contract. 2 hearts will do for now. You don't say it's right. You don't say it's wrong. You don't get involved. What you shouldn't do is to push them into bidding 3 hearts. That's a bid that they won't understand. Why 2, not 3? Why 3, not 2? Just let them do whatever they want and ignore it for the moment. It's my advice. Don't talk about the weakness takeouts or drop dead or any of that stuff. They will never use that. Even on a hand like this. Again, the thing they know is path with 0 to 5, and when responder bids a new suit open, must bid again. They know that, so what do? I don't care. I don't care what they do. These will not be hands from the textbook that they're playing in the one no trump class. These will be hands they'll come across in supervised play. And you just let them do what they want. Not care. Don't direct them to bid 2 hearts or to pass. Just let them do whatever they want.
Hi, Jeff. Just a sec. Hello.
Hello. You know it's Sunday.
Yep.
Now listen. I found a stray in my.
Okay. Can you still hear me? Yep. Payment and major transfers.
Okay.
Payment and major transfers are good for many lessons or part of an improver intermediate course. It's important to treat them together at the same time. So in the same class, do statement transfers. Don't do one in one class and then wait for the next group. They belong in the same class. Why? Because they replace bids with no meaning. Don't forget, for them, responses of 2 clubs, 2 diamonds, 2 hearts, 2 spades have no meaning. They never made those bids. They don't know what they mean. So in one go, you can give them meanings for those bids with statement and major transfers, and you ignore all the other bids. And that'll be just fine for them. One no trump is a rare opening.
Excuse me, Nick. Can you just mute Anne while you're there, please?
Okay. Yep, I think I'm okay. One no trump is a rare opening. It should come towards the end of the course because of that. I spent half a class on it. I spent 1 play hand and half a class on the one no trump opening. And try this change of saying no singleton. See what they do and see if you think that that's enough information for them. If you like them to add a point for a 5-card suit, that's fine. That's fine. With responses, just do the balance raises. Pass, 2, 3, 6, ignore the rest. And the only other example you should have is one no trump, 4 hearts and 4 spades, like the earlier example. And that's all I do. And that'll do for the one no trump opening. But later one no trump bids or later no trump bids are a bit different. I'm going to cover them quickly because there's a bit of a conflict with what I said earlier. That conflict doesn't bother me. A good phrase for later no trump bids is the singleton in partner suit is okay. So if partner opens the spade and you bid one no trump, it's okay to have a singleton in partner suit. In theory, you might have a singleton in one other suit, but I gloss over that. So no singleton, the singleton in partner suit is okay. As I said, in the book I teach from, this one-no-Trump bid is the first one-no-Trump bid they learn, the one-no-Trump response to a suit opening. So it comes before they've learned the concept of balanced. Singleton in partner suit is fine. Balanced equals no trumps avoids this very bad option. This is one you need to nip in the bud early on. Why does this happen? South opens a club. Why? Because they can't open a heart because they've only got 4 of them. So North bids a spade and South says, well, I don't like spades. Let's continue the search for a fit. Partner didn't raise my clubs. I don't like spades. Maybe we'll find happiness in 2 hearts. This you have to stop. You have to stop as early as you can or people will keep doing it. Yes, you can direct them to bid one no trump. You can say balanced hands, get to no trumps as soon as they can. And the other way to reinforce this is to say bidding 2 suits shows 5-4 shape. That's a bit controversial and we'll look at a few examples. But if you can enforce both those concepts, you will stop them rebidding 2 hearts with a hand like this. And it's an important thing to do. What do you do here? Or what do you teach your students to do? I don't care what they do. They can bid 2 clubs. They can bid 2 hearts. They can bid 1 no trump. They're all fine. They're all bad, but they're all fine. 1 no trump, 2 clubs, or 2 hearts. Look, I like 1 no trump in a way because another principle we have is repeating a suit shows 6 cards. So you want to discourage responder from bidding 2 spades with 5 of them. And thinking that opener might have a singleton might help you do that. So repeating a suit shows 6 cards will also discourage them from repeating the clubs and by bidding 2 clubs to show real clubs, because that shows 6, right? And so they bid 2 hearts, and I'm quite happy for them to do that. There are no reverses until well into their career, and they're showing 5-4 shape, 5 clubs, 4 hearts. What could be better than that? A perfect option, in my view. Now here comes the problem hand. What do you do here? Well, as bridge players, we have a view, and we might be the sort who rebid 1 no trump here. We can say, well, if there's a spade fit, then partner can use check back, and we'll find our spade fit, and all the reasons for bidding 1 no trump are there. Of course, that doesn't apply to people who've just learned, but it meshes with that idea of bidding 2 suits shows 5-4 shape. And if you can get people to rebid 1 no trump here, I'm not saying it's right or it's good, give them a choice, but I think that will be helpful. Showing 12 to 40, allowing partners to do some arithmetic will be a good thing to do. And I recommend you all have a go at that. And if they miss the odd spade fit, then so be it. So be it. Okay, that'll be the end of my screen, I think. And I can stop sharing. So that's my view on how to teach the 1 no trump opening and how to teach other no trump bids. I'm sure a lot of people won't agree with that. Give me some feedback.
Hello, Nick, it's Linda Clayton here. I just heard you say you teach your course from a book. Can you tell us what that book is, please?
Well, it depends which club I'm at. I either teach from Paul Marston's Introduction to Bridge, or the example was Derek Brown's Bridge for Beginners. So one of those two. In Derek's book, the 1 no trump opening comes in week 5, and that's when I introduce it. So when do other people teach their one no trump opening?
I certainly teach it in week 5. Have done since 1988. I'm going to mention that in my discussion.
Yeah, we like to start off bidding suits and finding suit fits.
One thing, Nick, when you're distinguishing between the one no trump auctions and the example you gave with the 5 hearts to the ace queen, 4 to the king of diamonds, etc., and you said one no trump, 2 hearts is fine, and I understand all that. Do you aim to teach the students that the one no trump is different from the other openings because it's limited, because it says such a lot about the hand?
Yes, well, that's such a great thing. You can tell them it's the best opening bid you can make because of that. And that's one reason I like to encourage them to put more hands in the one no trump opening because of the 15 to 17 thing and arithmetic.
I love your idea of saying it's 15 to 17, no singleton. Simplifying, and every step of simplification is good for sure. The idea of responding to a limit bid is different from an unlimited bid. Helps them to understand many different things. You respond on 6 because you're opposite 12 to 19, whereas if you're opposite 15 to 17, you need 8 points and so on. It helps to clarify that.
I like to say that there's a special part of your brain for the one no trump opening. That's why there is all these exceptions and different sums, different arithmetic.
When I do an introductory bridge course, I try to stress to the students that each bid has to mean 2 things. And if it doesn't mean those 2 things, you can't make the bid. So for example, the no trump, 15 to 17, but it must be balanced. So it has to be both those things. And to do the balance, I use the idea of a teeter-totter, a seesaw. So the balanced hands have cards on either side, and the unbalanced hands are tipped 5-4 on the heavy end. And that seems to go, the visual seems to work with them.
That's good stuff, Nick. To me, it's very, very important that we get the no trump stuff at the right point in the training, and we describe it in the most simple way we can.
Linda Clayton again. I follow Joan Butts's methodology, and I think I haven't checked, but I think she recommends the one no trump opening in the 3rd week. Which has worked fine for me.
Yeah, well, certainly not in the first couple of weeks, though that used to be the case many years ago. The first thing you learned 40 years ago was the one no trump opening, which was a bit silly.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen courses, they start off with one no trump opening, and the reason is because it's extremely simple to teach. The one no trump is clearly defined, which makes the responses clearly defined, and that makes the job of the teacher incredibly easy, but unfortunately it confuses the students. And, teaching the no trump stuff early, I think, is one of the classic mistakes. That's what I think.
Laura jumping in here. I feel like I have a parade going past outside my house, so hopefully that noise isn't coming through. I do it a bit differently. Again, just backing up that I have had this one day of coming and trying, and I don't like to start off that or having them come and play mini bridge or something. The first week of sort of real content I do is just generally the opening bids and tackle all the opening bids at once. I think that allows them to kind of differentiate between hands and see them rather than seeing them in isolation, kind of see them as they will see bridge hands. Jumping up together.
Certainly the way I teach is like we're bidding as a language, and we're learning a language in order to achieve a goal. That's selecting the contract. and we've got a vocabulary to help us achieve that goal. And the vocabulary is clear, and an opening bid is 12, response is 6, and so we go, using that language to decide the contract. And suddenly, if you add in the no Trump stuff, you're suddenly breaking that flow of communication. And that's why we gave it up many years ago. And I think it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah, so I like different things work for different people. I like having all the openings in one, but then the next weeks we'll break it down as like the next lesson's raising a major, basically. So getting into that quickly and don't revisit opening no trumps until about week 6 or 7, I think it is.
It's great to get your input, Nick. I know that you've done a lot of teaching over many years, and we're hearing that experience come back in your presentation here. And like I said, I really enjoy the way you describe the one no Trump opening, a balanced hand, no singleton. The more simple, the better. And we only have to sit in front of students, very bright people, and see how they struggle over simple things to understand that our job is to make things as clear as possible. Do you want to ask Nick any other questions, folks, before I present my little talk on what to teach beginners? Thank you, Nick. And I would say a special thank you. I've said it before, but to say a special thank you to you in your work in bringing this association back together. The Australian Bridge Teachers Association is a very, very welcome thing. It's doing a great job, and it's because of Nick that we've come back. And I say congratulations to you. You've done a really good thing. And I think it's more necessary than it's ever been before, quite frankly. We need positive news. We need growth. We need something going forward. Right now, in this last couple of weeks, 2 events, in fact, have really taken Bridge back. One in particular has taken Bridge back without doubt, and that is the closing of Bridge World magazine. It's been the icon of publishing in the world of bridge since 1929. It was started by Culbertson, and it's been the central thing for bridge at a higher level. And the fact that that's closing down is very sinister for the future of bridge. I've got to say that. We know we're aging, and that's all part of the reason why Bridge World is failing, because it's not the percolating new players coming in and really making it happen. The same group of older people, and they have failed. And the other thing, on a more personal note, was I lost my column in the Australian a couple of weeks ago. And, it wasn't my idea, it was their idea. And I've received a great number of emails from people, which I really, really appreciate. It's quite humbling, the fact that people are saying they really enjoyed the column. But the newspaper decided to cut the bridge column and the chess column. And there we are. They've put a new feature into the magazine called Culture as opposed to Review. I think it's weaker because of the absence of bridge and chess. But there we are. The one thing that I would say for sure is that these are not positive things for bridge. And the fact that Nick has been instrumental in bringing back the ABT, that is a positive thing. And I think we're all grateful for that.
You think that 40 years ago, the Women's Weekly replaced Ron Klinger's bridge column with horoscopes.
Yeah.
And Lorraine Lindsay, the former president, sends her regards to everyone. Unfortunately, she's in hospital today, but wishing the ABTA all the best for today and the future.
That's nice to hear from her. I think she was, together with Nick, can speak more completely about this, but she was part and parcel of the bringing back of the association. Is that right, Nick?
Yes, certainly, yeah.
We wish her well. Okay, I'm going to present my little talk on what to teach beginners, and we are talking about beginner stuff, and I think that's a great thing because our challenge as a community of teachers is to get our message across. And the way we judge our success is twofold, and that is how many people do we bring to our classes If we don't bring students to our classes, we're wasting our time. And then once we've got our classes, how many of those students do we retain? They're the two metrics that will measure our effectiveness as a teacher. All the other things that people might talk about may be important, but in the end, they are the two ways that a teacher is going to get judged. What should we teach our beginners? Well, there's not one simple answer, and it depends on who you are, what your style is, where you are, whether it's online, whether you're a visitor to a club, or whether you're working with a club. Many, many considerations. So I do understand that things will vary a great deal. I also see different goals in presenting lessons. Some teachers clearly see themselves as entertainers. They're there to entertain the people that they're working with. And I read a little while ago a teacher saying that it doesn't matter how doesn't matter about the content of a lesson. All that matters is the way you present it. In other words, that was very much the thinking of a teacher who saw their job as being an entertainer. Maybe that's a value, maybe that's important. For me personally, it's most definitely not the case. I'm not there as an entertainer. For me, content is king. The actual content of a lesson is king. And the reason is I run bridge clubs and I need to create customers for my clubs. That's my job. It's the reason I teach bridge. So I ride or fall on whether I'm successful at creating new customers. They are the essence of the business. We need to make our students not entertained during the class as such. We need them to have sufficient interest, perhaps even love for the game, that they want to keep coming back. We want repeat business, and that is the name of the game. I gave my first beginner class before most of you were born. It was in 1973, actually, a long time ago. And there was in Christchurch, and there was a group of us that were doing quite well competitively. And the Bridge Club asked 4 of us to present a beginner course, and we did a few lessons each. And we were, if we saw that course that we presented now, all of us, myself included, would laugh. It was just so complex. No question about that. Anyway, it helped to create a real passion for me about teaching beginners. I love teaching beginners. The view and the sense of people moving ahead is very rewarding for me, and I'm sure it is for many of you guys too. It's extremely worthwhile. It makes it all worthwhile. During the 50-odd years since those dodgy little lessons to start with, I've made many, many changes to my content, many, constantly making changes. And I can tell you one thing that is absolutely for sure about the changes I've made to the content during these 50-odd years. Every single one of the changes has been to make the content more simple, without question. And each year, and we aim to make things more clear. We see the difficulties people have, and so we aim to simplify our message to create the interest and the bond with the game, which we love to see in our students. I want to perhaps share with you 2 changes in particular that I think served very well to help make things more clear, make things more effective. And we've talked to some extent about one of those, and that is the when to teach no trumps. And the one no trump opening bid is a different type. It's a different category from the other opening bids. The auctions that flow from one no trump are different in their nature. And so it's very important to concentrate on teaching the students, in my opinion, how to communicate with each other to solve problems using the essential bids that they've got, which is the one of a suit opening and responses. And the one no trump gets in the way. And we saw this quite early, certainly from our point of view of our course, and we changed that. And so in 1988, I included an introduction to bridge. We put the one no trump opening bid at lesson 5, and my beginner course, Introduction to Bridge course, spans lessons chapters 1 to 4. So they deal with chapters 1 to 4. They don't deal with the one-no trump opening bid. It's a different in its character. And we deal with that later in what we call level 2. In level 2, we're talking about the situation when one player limits his hand and the other guy decides the contract. One-no trump fits into that category. And also the take-up doubles. They fit into that category as well. Because one guy says double, and the other guy decides the contract. So there are chapters 5 and 6 from Introduction to Bridge. And we separate them from chapters 1 to 4. And we get them up and running and speaking the basic language between 2 bridge players, and they get good at that. And then it's quite easy to introduce those things a fraction further down the track. That's one important change that we made. And like I said, we did that in 1988, a long time ago. Then in 2020, we made the second, I think, really important change to the beginner structure, and that was to make the response over one of a major opening bid, make the one-no trump response 6 to 11. A very simple change, but it actually simplified the bidding a great deal. And so with those 2 changes, I think we've got a very straightforward thing to present to our beginners when they do the first 4 lessons with us. And I want to show you, can I share a screen here, Nick? Maybe I can. Are you seeing a shared screen?
No.
No. I'm sorry. We're there now. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So this is the essence of what we would set out to teach our beginners during a beginner course. And so I'm going to present everything that we teach them about bidding during this beginner course. This is the bidding component of the beginner course. I have something to say about the card play shortly. Number 1, we teach them 12 to open and 6 to respond. And we do this for both partnerships. In my view, you should start teaching people there's a different species of call, which is an overcall, which may be 8 points or 9 points, is a can of worms. It's teaching them things which they're not ready to deal with and they won't understand, and it just simply confuses things. And there's no reason for it, in my opinion, because we teach them the second side need 12, the first one needs 12 points to bid, and as they gain experience, you can shave it, you can shave it, you can shave it down, and we can explain that to them, and they're working off a solid base. That's my view. So 12 to open, 6 to respond is the first thing we teach them about the bidding. If partner opens in a major, we would teach them with a fit, decide about game. And from that, they can follow the logic of bidding game when they've got 13 total points, and when there's hope for game, bidding a bit less. If they don't have a fit with partners major, they simply bid one-no trump, which shows 6 to 11. Or they bid their suit, which shows 12 or more. And of course, they know an opening opposite an opening is good for game, and that thought is in the back of their minds. And the beauty of having the one-no trump 6 to 11 is that now you avoid the situation of the responder bidding at the 2 level and getting caught up with reverses and new suits at the 3 level and all sorts of other requirements on the opener to restrict their bidding to allow for the possibility that the responder's only got 10 points, which is the case if you don't have one-no trump 6 to 11 at 6 to 9. With 10 or 11, they're bidding at the 2 level, and you have all these problems, and there's no good reason for it, and certainly you can avoid it by having the one-no trump response 6 to 11. And if partner opens in a minor, you simply show a major. If partner opens in a minor, you always bid a major with at least 4 cards. And that is everything we teach them in the bidding. And there's very few exceptions in there. They get good at doing these sorts of things. And then when they come to level 2 of our course, we deal with the one-no trump, and we deal with the doubles, and we deal with overcalls, and we deal with those other things. And that's at a more appropriate time. that is there. Now, just to finish my little presentation here, I'd just like to mention briefly about the card play component of a beginner course. Some really good things have been said about the card play. Joan had some good things to say. Nick's been mentioning, Jeff, good stuff. And there's challenges in the card play for sure. And some people, I know that there's a guy who runs Honors Club in New York. He doesn't actually teach any bidding until the students have been in beginner class for 6 months. Now, this is a very, very extreme view, to teach them card play for 6 months before you do anything about bidding. And I can understand the idea behind doing these sorts of things, to really focus on card play before you deal with the bidding, because the bidding is, in a sense, a consequence of the card play understanding. But there's a big problem here in teaching all about the card play without dealing with the bidding, because you take away the fun of the game. And we must remember, when we're thinking about how to integrate card play and bidding, we must remember what it is, the essence of what made this game so wonderfully popular. And it used to be really, really popular. Like I said, it's fading a fraction these days as a sport, at the high level sport, that's for sure. But certainly it's been hugely popular right across the world. And the thing, Bridge is coming up to its 100th anniversary, but maybe even in a week or two, and 100 years old. And when Bridge was introduced in 1925, it was an instant hit, and it took away from auction bridge, which was the existing form of the game, pretty much instantly. And everyone was playing contract bridge, and auction bridge was gone. And I think one of the reasons why contract bridge took off with such a bang was because the bidding itself involves an element of gamble. You've got to judge whether to have a go at bidding for game, and that's a risk. There's a gambling element involved. And I think it's a fundamental point of people's personalities and makeups, and that we all have a bit of a gambling addiction in there. And the reason for one of the reasons for the success of contract bridge is because it feeds that gambling addiction. And that's part of the appeal of the game. And so I think that we should keep the card play and the bidding together, because they provide the returns for our students on all the fronts: the joy of playing cards and making tricks, and the thrill of the gamble. And they are the two things which we should truly aim to keep together. So, folks, that's my view about the game, and it's like I'm echoing everyone's thoughts here that have spoken so far. Simple is best, and we're all heading towards more simple, and that's really the essence of my message too.
Hello. I hope Paul can hear me.
Yes, David. Hi.
Oh, good. I'm a real novice at the teaching game. Okay, just started this year, trying to work my way through it. You mentioned a couple of things there. You said, if there's partner opens in a major, without a fit, you've got to have 12 plus points to bid as suit. I would think one spade over one heart, you don't need the 12 points?
That's true. I didn't want to raise the exception. Yeah, that's true.
Okay, righto. That's one exception, all right.
Yeah.
Then elsewhere you said something about level 1 for 4 weeks, then level 2, I presume, for 4 weeks as well?
Yeah, yeah.
And do you then go into level 3 or something, or...
I'll tell you.
It makes sense to do that, I must say.
Yeah. I mean, we have been educated by our COVID experience. That's the truth of it all. When we were teaching online, we created a program, Niven and I created a program which consists of 4 levels. And we covered everything that a student needs to know about to venture into the online world of bridge in our green section. We've got many people playing online, and the people have come through our program. So once they've gone through 4 levels, which is 4 weeks each, then we say that they are a graduate of our online program. And it's been highly successful. Our retention of people from one level to the next is much higher than 90%. Around 95% is normal. And one or two people drop off because they're traveling or because of ill health or something like that. But people, once they're on the program, they stick with it 100%. And that's a compelling statistic. And, we've got the same situation here at the club, and we haven't been so successful, that's for sure. And maintaining the retention is more of a challenge. It requires more time and effort and investment and all the rest of it. And we are starting to use the same structure for our club beginner programs as we have used in the online. And we're in the process of doing that. And the signs are good. I can't say that they're complete at this point, but I think we're on a good program here, a good direction, should I say, David.
Fabulous. Thank you for that.
Our next contributor is none other than the great Ron Klinger. And it'd be such a joy to have him on. And I'm not sure if in fact, he had a couple of timing issues. We were so keen to get him on that we put the start of the thing back from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock so that we could fit Ron in, because he has had more experience in the bridge teaching, the bridge holiday, the bridge activity business than anyone else. And it's just great to get his views. And he's most undoubtedly the king of holiday bridge. There's no question about that.
I don't have Ron on our list at the moment. He said 4 o'clock, so we will see.
I would expect he'll be here on time. I think Susie will make sure he does.
Talking about teaching card play before bidding, Mini Bridge has quite a following in Europe, but the main problem with it is that they generate a lot of mini bridge players, which is maybe not the intent. They want bridge players, yet they get into this mini bridge rut and they stay there, which is a shame.
I do know that when it comes to teaching bridge, it's not a question of one size fits all. There are different things, and there's so many contributing factors, and so there's great room for different people to use different approaches, and for us to hear the feedback from them. I mean, I think we're all interested to hear about people's stories, and for future seminars that we might hold, we hope that some of you can come along and contribute your story, because we're interested to hear. That's for sure. We're a community, and we all thrive on contributing what we know and hearing what everyone else has got to say.
Paul, I think one of the most interesting things that I've observed is the difference in length of course for our beginners. I think over the last few years there's been a big push to shorten the lessons. I think there's still a few of us that still like to teach by term, but I think that's definitely one of the differentiating factors in teaching and when to go on to the next stages of statement and transfers and the rest. And whether we structure that as another module or whether we're structuring that as an intermediate or actually including that within our course and keeping it at 10 weeks. So I'm sure there's a lot of differences here, and I look forward to hearing everyone's differences and why they teach the way they do over the next few months.
How long should your beginner course, Bianca?
I actually run mine with the school term. So I still do that, and then I'm hoping in the first couple of days of the school holidays to then tag on the Bring Your Grandchild to Bridge Day and run one of those. So one of the biggest things that I've sort of recognised in my group, a lot of them are grandparents. A lot of the demographics of ways homes operate are different now, and a lot of the grandparents are looking after grandkids. So we always try to have that in mind when we're teaching, doing school run and then school holidays as well.
Interesting. So how many lessons would be in a school term?
There's usually about 10.
Right.
I mean, Victoria doesn't have the same amount of weeks. It used to be quite easy in South Australia. It was always a 10-week term, but in Victoria, sometimes we have an 8 and sometimes we have an 11. But yeah, I certainly want to make sure that they've got something to go on to. And having operated tricks and trumps, certainly in the beginning, we only had 3 or 4 tables at some stage, and having to mix our supervised in with our duplicate. One of the things that I've introduced to a few clubs now is the help cards. So I wish we'd bring back the little old blue points so that when you got 2 blue points, you graduate. But the help cards are basically the laminated stop cards, and each player is given up to 2 in a supervised session, so you don't have one player asking for every hand. That then gets master points versus the person who tries to manage it themselves. So we found that to be quite a helpful little tool too.
Talking about length of class, when I started teaching in Christchurch Bridge Club, the incumbent teacher, and he continued for quite some time, was a fellow called Bert Pickering. He was the headmaster of the School for Deaf. He's a towering figure. He's a great bridge player, one of the best in New Zealand. And he was very vested in teaching as well. And his beginner course, he'd been running them for a long time at the Christchurch Bridge Club. His beginner course went for 1 year. And so if you sign on, you're in it for a year. And they stuck with him. And at the end of the year, they didn't want to go. But in the end, he pushed them, and they created a new junior grade at the Christchurch Bridge Club, which was the first in New Zealand to have graded structure. And that was came from Bert's efforts, and people that went through the ranks. And strattering people like this, I think, however we do it, and obviously we do it in a different time frame nowadays. I mean, sticking them for a year is no good. But the concept of strattering people, I think, is a good one.
We start our adults and our children and the university students all the same way with a 2-player bridge to, as we've talked about a lot, joining those partnerships and having the confidence with one other person. I really like the fact that Laura mentioned before, bring a friend. And I think that's one thing that helps to keep people in bridge for a longer period of time as well.
I think that we have Mr. Ron Klinger in our presence. Are you there, Ron?
Laura, you've got a question while we're waiting. Do you want to jump in?
Yeah, sure. And Ron, if you are around, do butt in any moment. Yeah, the mini bridge thing's an interesting one, and I've been fortunate to learn a little bit about the French things that they're doing, and yeah, seen a few different things in action myself. One of the I guess things about mini bridge that and I don't know what my views are on it. I kind of generally skip it in the way that I run lessons, but or touch on it and then move on very quickly. But interesting concept, sort of where the youth program or the in schools program that it tends to be going, or that we hope it'll be going, is the idea of getting kids to the point that you can have these resources that go out and they get given contracts, but they can actually score sessions because they're given their contracts, and it's all about the card play. And then once you've got a catchment of schools going and you can get bridge clubs running sessions, that then the first hour, which should be a session, is literally they all get given contracts and they all have a go declaring them, but it is fully scored. And coming back to bridge being a trick-taking game, they've got write-ups of all the hands. Then there's pizza in the middle, because pizza is the key to youth bridge success. And then the second hour of the session being the session that does include bidding in it. So I hadn't heard of sort of people becoming slaves to mini bridge and not progressing further. I'd be interested to hear more about that, Nick. It was Nick that had mentioned that people get too hooked up on mini bridge. I could be wrong. because that would be something that I definitely hate, to have them all like some sort of bridge where they just got given the contract and played the hands, and to have them fall into liking that too much.
We just do mini bridge in the first lesson just to get them playing the cards. Then we go on to bidding next lesson.
Yep.
Hello, Ron. Do we have a sound issue there, Ron? We're not hearing you, Ron.
Look, we have a Ron here. I don't know whether it's the right one.
I'm seeing Ron Klinger. I'm just not hearing Ron Klinger.
Maybe it's me.
I don't see a muted thing against him either, so I think there's a mic problem there.
Yeah, I can see.
Turn the audio on. No. Maybe he hasn't turned the audio on, maybe because I disabled mine. Maybe his audio is disabled.
Maybe you have to enable audio, Ron. Yeah, Linda suggested, Ron, that maybe you have to leave the group and then rejoin and click audio when you come back in. It's worth a go.
Do we know if Ron can hear us talking?
Yeah. Ron, if you're hearing us, could you give us a sign? Thank you. Okay, he's hearing us. If you press the bottom right, Ron, to leave the group, then you can relog, press the link again, it'll bring you back. And maybe then you've got an audio setting that you need to click.
Well, I've sent him a message, but no answer yet.
I did hear from the guys at BBO. They approached me about what sort of things they've got for teachers. And with a view to sharing it with you guys. And I will pass on the stuff that they've got. You may know about most of the things now, but maybe there's something there that you're not familiar with. But I'll pass it on to Nick to include with the next bulletin, which is going to be quite soon, I think. And also, we're going to be asking you to fill out the survey so that we can get the information about you and make you a full member of our association.
Sorry, Paul, what bulletins is that and where do you find that?
That is the ABTA, the Australian British Teachers Association Bulletin, which is brilliantly edited by our secretary, Nick Hughes. He does a great job, just like he does with the Coffs Harbour Bulletin.
Yes, that'll be sent out to everyone on our email list. It won't be a big thing, but it'll be a summary of this.
Thank you.
I see you're showing as muted now, Ron, which is good. You can try unmuting. Can you unmute Ron now, Nick? If you make me co-host, I think I can have a go at unmuting Ron.
Okay, he's unmuted now.
Okay, Ron, try. You're unmuted now, Ron, so can you speak? No, you're muted again. While we're getting organised with Ron, we will be very keen to hear back from you guys about this session here, things we might have done, things we could have done better, and all that sort of thing. And also, if you've got some interest in presenting any ideas, we would like to hear, because we'd like to schedule the program for our next online session like this. We'd like to schedule it well in advance so we can let people know and they can all be aware of what's coming up and look forward to it and come along. But we'd like to publish the details of what's coming up well before it happens. So your feedback will be very, very welcome.
Oh, I really enjoyed it. Much better, yeah, than the other one. No, I'm on another Zoom. Yeah, no, that's right. No, that's right. I'm on another Zoom. Yeah, finishes about 5. I might be before. If not, all right. Something's wrong with his thing.
He's still muted, I think.
Yeah, poor old Ron.
we're so looking forward to hearing from you. You seem to be unmuted now. No.
It won't stay muted. It won't stay unmuted.
We might have to schedule you for our next session, Ron, with great anticipation. Are we any chance, Ron? Otherwise, we might have to move on. Okay, it's looking a bit grim here, folks. I just want to say again, thank you very much for coming to our first online session, first Zoom session of the reincarnated Australian Bridge Teachers Association. We think this is playing an important role for Bridge in this country and for the future of Bridge in this country. And it's great to have you as a foundation member of our reincarnated team here. So thank you once again, and we will be in touch with you by Nick's email, which might include a bulletin soon. And don't forget to fill out the form giving us some background on your bridge, where you're teaching, who you're teaching, what sort of numbers you're dealing with, all that sort of thing, which will go into our body of information to give us some strength as an organization, and it will help us to serve teachers. If someone's looking for a teacher, we can find the person with the right credentials. So there we are. Would you like to say anything else before we go, Nick?
No, I think it's gone okay, considering a few issues, but it's only a start, and we've sort of gathered a lot of information and a lot more people we can contact. That has to be a good thing.
Paul, can I just make one quick comment? There's a few people that have joined today that we may not have their email addresses. Are you able to give everyone an email address for everyone who would like to be in contact or be added to our list?
Okay, I'll do my best.
Certainly, we should have an email where people can post their information about people who want to be added. That's for sure. We should have a central point where people can be added.
Certainly, everyone who joined via my ABF, we've got their details and their email, but some people just came straight in, and that's fine too. We'll contact all of you.
Yeah, if anyone wants to contact me, I've had a few text messages already. I'll put my email in the chat if you're needing to be contacted.
That's a good idea. And, perhaps anyone who's in the market to join our group can email to Bianca's address, which is in the chat window now. Yeah, good on you, Bianca.
And a big shout out to all of you organisers. I think it's a fantastic thing, and we can only go on from here, I think.
Thanks very much.
Thank you indeed. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Really interesting afternoon.
Thanks, Margaret.
Thanks for all your time and support, and looking forward to catching up with you all soon.
Thank you,
Thanks
everyone.
a lot. Very informative. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to see you, Jen.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks heaps. It's great.
I'll just leave the Zoom meeting open for about 5 or 10 minutes, but I'll close it soon.
And don't forget to come to the next meeting that we have. You'll hear the speaking version of Ron Klinger.
Excuse me, Paul. Linda Clayton here again. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I can.
Okay. Look, I just posted a couple of questions earlier on, which seem to have escaped anyone's attention. I was very interested to hear what your 4 levels of your beginner's course consisted of briefly. I've heard, I've written down what you usually cover in level 1, but I think you said you had 3 other levels. Can you briefly go through those, what you teach in each of those levels? And my second question was, do you have a book which you give students for them to, revise or forward read or whatever? Thanks.
Yes, I can show you a summary of the levels, I think. I need to... one sec. Yeah, I'm going to share my screen. It's got the levels here. That is and that's off Nevina's website. So you can see there. You can take a screenshot of that, or I can be happy to send it to you as well.
There is a URL.
Yeah, in fact, take the URL. You can see it from there.
Is this a website that we also have access to?
Bits of it. You have the access to the beginner program stuff. I'm going to post the URL in the chat window, which I think I can. And I think I've posted the URL in the chat window. So you can copy that thing there and you can go there to have a look.
Bridge Lounge Online Beginners Program.
Yeah, it's there. Just copy it and it'll take you there. That's what we cover. And once people finish these 4 levels, we consider that they've graduated from our online beginner program of Bridge and they're ready to enjoy playing in our green level, which is like a beginner's group. And we have several hundred members of our beginners group. And they're very, very alive and they're very active. They're talking every minute on WhatsApp and so on. And they've come through this program here.
Grand Slam Beginner Program.
It's finished.
And the award for the most novel situation for the camera goes to Derek Brown. I've been looking at his video feed throughout the afternoon, and it's always interesting. Derek, you look like you're at Phillip Island. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to leave the auditorium very shortly. It's been nice to see you all. It really has.
Well, hi there again, Laura here. Just jumping in with a different hat on as the Summer Festival of Bridge tournament organizer. Nick or Bianca, if you wanted to look at sort of trying to schedule something at the Summer Festival as a bit of a meetup, I'm sure lots of people will be there. Let me know.
Yeah. That better?
Bye, everyone.
Yeah. No, it's the Australian Bridge Federation. No, they're not. Australian Bridge Teaching Federation was disbanded 12 years ago. Okay. They reinvented it and it's on the ABF website that they were doing it. And that was interesting. In the respect of how do I put it? Like a one-no Trump opening, right? If you listen to who was it? Kim Hughes? No, Mick Hughes, right?
Yeah.
He's a teacher.
Gary, you are unmuted at the moment, just if you didn't know and you're still listening. Bye again.
Okay, closing now. Goodbye. Thanks all.